and ILS deviation. The standby attitude indicator provides pitch and roll attitude with horizon reference on a two-colored sphere against a split Q aircraft symbol. The horizon is shown as a white line dividing the brown earth reference and the cyan sky above. Pitch divisions are marked out every 5 degrees and are numbered every 10. A roll indicator reads against a scale inside the top of the periphery of the display. The scale is marked at 10, 20, 30, 45, 60, and 90 degrees. At the bottom right hand of the instrument is a fast erect knob. This should be pulled and held until the indication has aligned. A slip indicator is fitted to the bottom of the instrument. ILS deviation information from ILS number 1 is shown by crosshairs, split Q. These are only displayed if an ILS frequency is selected on the captain's VHF nav controller. Note that the crosshairs display shows deviation and is not a flight director. With no ILS frequency selected, the crosshairs are biased out of view. Normal operations. Prior to departure, the standby attitude indicator is compared against the other horizon information. Abnormal operations. A failure is indicated by a black and red fail flag that will appear for any of the shown reasons. At the left side of the display, a red GS flag will appear for any of the shown reasons. At the bottom of the display, a red LOC flag will appear for any of the shown reasons. Distance bearing indicator. The distance bearing indicator, DBI, displays heading, VOR and ADF radio bearing and DME indications. Each pilot has a DBI positioned to the left of their NDs, DBI number 1 for the captain and DBI number 2 for the first officer. Power to the instruments is switched through the avionics master switches. Only DBI number 1 is available at the emergency power level. The heading information for DBI number 1 is normally supplied from IRS number 2, and DBI number 2 is normally supplied from IRS number 1. The distance bearing indicators contain a 360 degrees compass card to provide heading information. Remember that the heading displayed on the DBI is taken from the opposite side's IRS. This enables each pilot to monitor the aircraft's two heading references because the adjacent NDs use on-side IRSs. Each DBI has two pointers to provide bearing indications to either a VOR or NDB. A dashed single shaft pointer relates to either VOR number 1 or ADF number 1. A double shaft pointer relates to either VOR number 2 or ADF number 2. Switches at the bottom corners of the DBI allow bearing source to be selected for the pointer. The left switch is for the single shaft pointer and the right switch is for the double shaft pointer. The switches are selected horizontally inwards for ADF and vertically upwards for VOR sources. The DME distances for both DME number 1 and DME number 2 are displayed at the top of the DBI. Normal operations. Testing of the DBIs is performed as part of the normal pre-departure checks by checking heading validity and comparing adjacent beacon bearing and distances. Abnormal operations. Heading reference failure is indicated by a red heading fail flag at the top of the display. The compass card will be frozen. No action is possible. The attitude heading transfer switch does not affect the DBIs. At the emergency power level, DBI number 1 will automatically have its heading reference transferred from IRS number 2 to IRS number 1. This ensures that the captain maintains a heading reference at the emergency power level. With the failure of the selected VOR or ADF system, a red flag will appear and the pointer will park horizontally. A red flag with a single shaft on the left of the instrument indicates the failure of ADF number 1 or VOR number 1. A red flag with a double shaft on the right of the instrument indicates the failure of ADF number 2 or VOR number 2. When a radio beacon is out of range or the signal is too weak for use, the radio pointers are parked horizontally. The fail flags are not shown. Loss of power to the DBI will cause all three fail flags to appear simultaneously. Congratulations! You have now completed this module.